Okay, so here we're looking at RStudio after I've loaded the CDC data frame into it. And I want to show you how to obtain basic descriptive statistical results and copy them into a Word document. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, we'll go out and we're going to import a code file, basic stats. It's a little different from the basic stats code file that I had you upload before. But to do it, File, Open File, navigate to wherever your file is, and it's in my Downloads folder. And here is basicstats.r. Double click on that. And now what happened is that we've opened it up into a window which is really a full screen editor window up in the upper left hand corner of RStudio. And let's look at what this code does. It says it gets basic descriptive statistics and plots for a numerical variable. And I wrote it so that it's set to work with a variable called NV. And that's really just a placeholder. It does a summary, and then it gets the standard deviation because the standard deviation is not included as part of the summary. Then it does a plot, a histogram. Then it does a box plot, and I added some options to the box plot. I could have just said box plot NV, but I also included an optional argument, horizontal equal true. That means it'll go from left to right instead of up and down. And main gives a title at the top of it. Unlike histogram, box plot doesn't automatically produce a title, and it just says box plot of NV. Okay, so right now NV doesn't mean anything. If you look over here in the global environment, you see there isn't anything called NV. Well, here's one way I could use this code. I can come down here into my console, and I can create something in NV. So I'll just say NV, and remember R is case sensitive, so it has to be capital N, capital V, is replaced by, and I'll do my old familiar trick. I'll just grab some normal random numbers, RNORM. And notice that there's something kind of neat about RStudio. It tells me the things that I'm going to have to add here. N, I'll ask for 1,000, comma, and instead of taking a mean of 0, and that's, the mean of 0 is what I would get if I didn't include these extra things. Mean of 0 and standard deviation of 1 are the defaults, but I'll do something strange. I'll say mean equal 100, comma, SD equal 10. Okay? And now I'll just hit the cursor, or sorry, hit the return key. And notice what happened. We now have some values in the variable called NV. Okay? And now I could run this code. Okay, so how do I run code up here? Well, one way that you could run code, if you just put your cursor in a line, anywhere in a line, and hit run, it'll run that one line. And there you see the result of the summary. And I can put my cursor down here, and I can again type run. Okay. Or I can select, just use the standard cursor tools to select things. I'll select those two lines, and then I hit run. And what happens is that it runs everything that was selected. Now what I'll normally want to do, I want to run the whole code, okay? So to run the entire thing, you just select the entire upper left-hand window. And on a Windows system, you type Control A. On a Mac system, you type Command A. Okay, so Command A and run. And now you see that I got over, not only did I get my numerical results over here, again repeated for the umpteenth time, I now have some plots over here. I have a box plot, and the plot immediately before that was the histogram. Okay, so you look through the plots in this lower right-hand window. The code can be used to run just about anything, and there's a couple different ways I could do that. First, let me go down here into the lower left-hand window and type Control L, and it's the same on both Mac and a PC. Control L cleans out the console, and I had kind of a lot of garbage accumulating in that console. Well, one thing I could do, I could say NV is equal to CDC dollar, and notice the convenience features of RStudio. It tells me all the things that I might put in there. And I'll put in height, H-E-I-G-H-T. Okay, and now watch what happens to NV up here in the upper right-hand corner when I do that. Now it says there are 20,000 values in the numerical vector NV, and you can see that they are heights in inches. But one bad thing that you can see is now the titles don't really make any sense. This is a box plot of NV, which is really at this point CDC dollar height. There's a histogram of NV. Okay. Well, we could do this a different way. First of all, let me clean up my console, get rid of this thing. Control L. Then I'll come here up into the upper left-hand corner, and I'll take advantage of the fact that this is actually a full screen editor. Okay? And here's this magnifying glass, and a magnifying glass is something that always symbolizes a search or find and replace function. So click on this, find replace, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask RStudio to find every occurrence of NV and replace it with CDC dollar HEIGHT. Now I get it to do this for everything. I come over here to the right and I click on all. And it says it replaced 6 occurrences. Okay? Well, that's cool. And now what I'll do, I put my cursor up here and I Command A and I run. And now what I've got is the descriptive statistics for CDC dollar height. How do I get these things into a Word document? Well, I come over here and I just select the part that I want. And on a Windows computer, I say Control C. On a Mac computer, I say Command C. And then I go to my Word document. And in a Windows computer, it's Control V. On a Mac computer, it's Command V. Okay, so there I've got my results entered into my Word document. Okay, but I also need to get the graphics. So let's go back to RStudio. Over here, the particular graphic that I wanted was the histogram. So what I'm going to do, go down here to the lower right-hand corner, click on Export, copy to clipboard, and strange that we have to go through a second step in this, which is easy to miss, and it says copy plot. You have to do that. Okay? Then go back to your Word document and do whatever depending on whether you've got a Mac or a PC, either Command V or Control V. And presto, you've got your histogram stuck in your Word document. Okay? So that's how this is done. It's really pretty simple. Let's go back to RStudio and clean things up a little bit. Here in the upper left-hand corner, notice that now I've kind of messed up my code, because if I had to do a search and replace now, the search would have to specify CDC $height, and I could replace what I put over here and replace whatever I wanted with it. But what I'd really like to do is just get that back to NV. How do I do that? Well, get your cursor up here in the upper left-hand window and hit the undo command. Now you'll notice that there isn't an undo command sitting up there in the menu. So what you do is the universal undo is Command Z. And now it's back to being NV. Okay. Incidentally, that Command Z will come in handy because there's a mistake that you're going to make at some point with this full screen editor window. You'll have the whole thing selected, and perhaps you'll have run some code, and you'll come up here and you'll accidentally hit a return, and you'll blow away your entire window. Well, when you do that, just hit Command Z. Okay, so I think I've shown you enough to perform the task that you've got to do.